Greetings. I receive frequent requests from folks out there asking, how do you plant dragon fruit seeds? Since I can't send dragon fruit plants off the island, USDA prohibits us from doing that. The only way I can send some of those delicious dragon fruits off Hawaii is to ship seeds, and so people who are interested are needing to know, how do you get those seeds to grow? Well, it's pretty simple. It really is not a difficult thing to do. First thing you need is some dragon fruit seeds, some fresh ones. These guys right here are half dried. I've spread them on parchment paper to try to get them to dry out here in the air, because they have a goop on the outside of them that's just like super glue. So you got to put them out in the air for a while before you can really do too much with them. Now, if you're planting fresh from fruit at home, you can take the fresh seeds, goop and all, spread them over the top of the flower pot, and they grow just fine that way. But these seeds here are destined to end up probably in somebody else's garden, and so I'm getting them dried so we can ship them. So the materials you're going to need are going to be dragon fruit seeds, either wet or dry, a flower pot, either a 4, 5, or a 6-inch usually works well. I have the pot filled at the moment with a medium called Pro-Mix. It's mostly milled sphagnum peat and perlite. It's a relatively inert, some fairly sterile material. That's why I like to use it for starting seeds. You are better off with a relatively inert material when trying to grow cactus seeds. You're going to need something to mist the seeds with, and then otherwise you'll probably need something to cover the seeds with after they've been planted. If you live anywhere besides here in eastern Hawaii, here we get plenty of humidity, plenty of rain. I can lay these seeds right out into the nursery and they come up for me. But when I lived in California, I used to cover the top of the pot with saran wrap. You can cheat though and make your life easier by using a shower cap. That's really nice. And so we take some of the dragon fruit seeds and just begin to distribute them across the surface of the soil. You can grow these things pretty tight. I mean, to have the seeds less than 1 inch apart across the top is just fine. There's no reason why you can't do that. I'm going to limit this so that the seeds are probably 2.5 inches apart. Now that I've distributed the seed, and as I said, the seed could be wet or dry. It's not going to matter. Then I'm going to take this spray bottle right here, and I'm going to put some water over the top of the seeds just to make sure that they're pressed down a little bit onto the surface of the soil so they make contact. Now, the dragon fruit seed has a coating on the outside of it that's it's like hydrogel. It's this goop that when it gets wet, it swells up. It will not only stick the seed to the surface where it's been placed, but it will also hold moisture around that exposed seed in the air. So you don't want to be trying to scrub all the goop off your dragon fruit seeds. They need it. It's their friend. Also, cactus seeds in general, and particularly dragon fruits, prefer to have the seed surface planted. If you bury the seed so it can't see light, it's not as prone to germinate. So the best way to grow this seed, right on the surface of the soil. As I said, here in Hawaii, humidity's high. We can surface sow most small seeds and they're going to grow just placed outside. In most other climates, you're probably going to find your air is too dry and the seed will dehydrate without coming up unless you've covered it. So I'm putting a shower cap over the top of this pot right here. You could use, as I said, a sheet of saran works just fine, whatever you got around. cover the thing up. The soil that was in the pot was already pre-moistened, and I allowed moisture to get into all the peat and so on. So I didn't have to water the soil after the seed was put on. The misting was only to press the seed down to the top of the soil and get it a little bit wet. The humidity will start coming up in this thing, beating up on top and so on. We'll get a little rainfall going inside the pot. Now that you have a cover over the top to maintain humidity, the one thing you'll have to watch out for is too much sun. Because you have this cover and you have dark soil and there's moisture in there, if you put this in direct sunlight, the sun is going to make a solar collector out of this pot, and that'll just kind of mess everything up, kill the seeds and so on. And so what you want to do is put this where the light is really nice and bright, but there's no real direct light coming onto the pot, and it needs to be fairly warm. So, about 70, 75 degrees, somewhere in that vicinity. Between 65 and 85, I would say, is perfect range of temperatures night to day to get this seed to sprout. It will usually come up in about 7 to 14 days. It doesn't take long to grow dragon fruit seed. And as you start to see the seeds germinating in the pot, really the first thing you want to do is pull this cover off to make sure you're not going to get any mold started in here, because there's no air circulation going on with this cover. And it's only there to help get that seed up. And it's also another reason why we like to use a medium that's relatively inert, fairly sterile type medium. I don't recommend sterilizing the soil by using heat. That usually backfires, because once you kill off all the cultures in the soil with heat, the first thing that gets started again are usually the most hostile cultures. And so rather than a sterilized medium, a relatively inert medium. Materials like horticultural sand, vermiculite, perlite, milled sphagnum moss, these are all fairly inert. They haven't got a lot of biological activity, and so seeds will usually come up in them quite nicely with no fungus. There you have it. There really is not very much of anything else to it except time. It's a very, very simple process growing these cactus seeds. This same process is good for almost any other cactus seed that I have ever grown too. So if you're a person who loves to have cacti and succulents, try the same methods. It works out fine. So if you don't have a greenhouse or something, just a bright window will work fine to get these things going. Once they get up and, get an inch high or so, 2 inches high, then you can knock them all out of the pot, transplant. And I have many other videos about transplanting dragon fruits, but I just had to get one down about planting the seeds. Aloha, hang loose, happy gardening.